Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Once again, we are here on the ARM channel with Dr. Nia Mudaku, who is going to share with us today about the topic that talks about from the third world to the first world. Dr. Nia Mudaku, you are on the air. Hello.
Is that so? So soon? All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who is listening to me. Today, we're going to talk about a special topic. And the topic is from third world to first. Basically, it's about the principles that underlie the success of Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. So can we please have the first slide?
Okay, keep talking while I
so
share.
Yeah, we all know of Singapore. We all know of Lee Kuan Yew, where he came from and how he got to where he got to. He changed Singapore from a third world in 35 years, 1965 to 2000. Interestingly, one of the first countries he visited when he became Prime Minister in 1965 was Ghana. He was in West Africa in December 1965. And the report he got from Ghana was quite depressing. So that after the February 24 coup, he made a comment that he was not surprised. He wasn't surprised at all. He actually believed Ghana would become a pauper state. And we are a pauper state now. As I'm speaking to you now, Singapore is about 5.6 million people on land, 1/3 the size of Greater Accra. So Singapore has 5.6 million people on land 1/200 of Ghana's land. If you divide Ghana into 200 pieces of land, Singapore is one. But in the British Commonwealth, Singapore has the highest GDP per capita. That's a miracle. Singapore has overtaken Mother Britain and has overtaken senior brother Australia to become the country with the highest GDP per capita in the Commonwealth. How did he do it? The topic today, from third world to first. One man changed his country from a third world to the first world. Now, to do that, you must be very, very focused. Can we please have the next slide? Okay. Now, when you are going to build something, there are things you must do, and there are things you must not do. Because if you decide to do things that you don't have to do, you lose focus. It's a very serious business building a house, and it's a serious business. It means small serious business building a nation. What did LKY? What did he not do? One, he did not blame colonialism. Not once. Not once did he blame colonialism in all his life. Because for him, he knew that colonialism exposed him to a different culture of governance and education. He did not blame, not once did he. Two, he did not blame colonial education. Actually, he's very proud that he went to Cambridge. And for him, going to Cambridge as an Asian and topping his class with first class gave him the confidence that nobody was superior to him. Instead of bashing them, say, "No, I was with them and I beat them up." And one of the guys who was his contemporary was Professor Alex Capone.
Okay.
When he came to Ghana, by the way, Alex Capone also got first class in Oxford, in Cambridge. So, he knew the guy. When he came to Ghana in 65, he asked for, where is Alex? Oh, that brilliant guy from Ghana. He thought maybe Alex would be in the government. When he asked for Alex, do you know who they gave to him? Kobeduse.
Yeah.
When he asked for Alex Capone, he was given Kobeduse. So I don't even believe finishing Middle from 4. Now, his country was so small that when Britain granted Malaysia, Singapore independence in 1963, he went and formed an alliance, a federation with Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
But after 2 years, Malaysia kicked Singapore from the federation. At that point in time, the country the size of 1/3 of Greater Accra was released from the federation. And Lee was very concerned because he felt there was something he could do. It's a small island in the middle of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
No gold, no cocoa, no oil, no nothing. It's about 1/3 of the size of Greater Accra. And Greater Accra itself is just 1.36 the size of Ghana. It's about 200 the size of. He was very desperate. He didn't know what to do. But something occurred. When he came to Ghana and he saw what was going on in Ghana, and he went to Nigeria too. He said, I think we got a chance. These guys are just absolute jokers. When he has been thrown out of Federation of Malaysia, he was in Ghana was spending his cocoa money talking about Phantom United Africa. As development means that Ghana should be in unity with Togo, or Ghana should be in unity with Burkina Faso, or Ghana should be in union with Mali or Guinea or any of those jokers. He realized that to move forward, he needs a new plan. Whilst he has been sacked from the union government, and this I remember when you read in one of Nkrumah's books that when Yamiogo called him that he needed £2 million in 1962, Nkrumah said, "No, I'll bring the money provided you form a union government with me. If you agree to a union government with Ghana, I'll bring the money." So Nkrumah actually took £2 million, Ghana money, 2 million, into a briefcase, and when they gave it to Yamiogo. After Yamiogo got the money, he quickly went and joined Ofebuayin. He said, "Foolish boy, I've got your money." On his way from giving the money to Yamiogo, he was killed, almost killed by the Kulungungu. It was a plot. Yamiogo knew of the plot. They tricked the guy, but the guy took £2 million, government Ghana cocoa money, 2 million to go and give somebody on a telephone call. Promise that, I'll form a union government with you. The money went, and he almost lost his life. On the other side, Singapore has been sacked from the union by Malaysia. We don't need unity for anything, okay? Ghana doesn't need to be in union with Togo, Burkina, or anybody. We have everything to build a country bigger than Singapore. Number 4, he never blamed religion. He was agnostic. His family are Christians. He never believed religion. It was part of their problems. No, not at all. Number 5, he believed the UK system of government, the Westminster. And he created a first world from the Westminster in a generation. The things this guy did not blame for anything are the things we blame for all our problems. So he did not focus. It's like his attention and his rhetoric on these useless things. He moved straight to what he believed could make his country great. Next slide. What did he do? LKY built a system based largely on intangible wealth. We'll talk about intangible wealth in a minute. Intangible wealth. Next slide, please. Okay, what is intangible wealth? The wealth of nations. The wealth of nations is divided into three. Natural wealth, about 3%. Manufactured wealth, natural wealth is gold, cocoa, all those things. Manufactured wealth, about 17%. That is the road, the industries and things we build. And the intangible wealth is 80%. So any country who is able to major in intangible wealth, that country is bound to prosper. Singapore doesn't have natural wealth. They don't have many because the country is so small, 1/3 the size of Greater Accra. So you realize that they have to increase intangible wealth 80% so that they could translate from the third world to the first world. Intangible wealth. Okay, next slide, please. So what is intangible wealth? It's got three main components: rule of law and education. Of the 80% of intangible wealth, is believed that 57% of that 80% is rule of law, and 36% of that 80% is education. So if you really want to build a first world country from a third world, these are two things you have to do. Rule of law. Rule of law is 45.6% of total wealth. And natural resources is only 3% of total wealth. If you add natural resources to manufactured wealth, you get 20%. Rule of law alone is more than twice that.
Okay.
Now, education. If you add natural wealth to manufactured wealth, is 20%. Education alone is 28%. Education alone, our private education alone, is more than all the natural resources we have with all the industry we want to build. Education. Next topic, please. So what is rule of law? A good judicial system, effective government, effective police and home security, and property rights. These are the main aspects of rule of law. Now, if you have this rule of law in place, you realize that your cocoa will probably have added value, maybe 200% added value. Nobody's going to come to invest in a country where you go and buy a land to establish a business. Before you go there, somebody has built on the land. No property right. Nobody's going to invest in a country where the police can stop you and ask you, bail yourself and collect money from you. Where security, home security is lacking. Effective government. We all know what effective government means. You all know a government where there are checks and balances, not a government where the head of state is equal to the state. And judicial system. It's a disaster. We all know. Nobody even tries taking a case to the court. So this is what he did. He built the judicial system so well that one time a minister of his who was accused of corruption hanged himself rather than face the court. The minister felt that it was better to hang himself because the court will be merciless. What happens in Ghana? Somebody is accused and the president comes to clear him. You go clear agent in chief as the president. You have a whole system that a case is sent to court, and on every account, all the judges agree. They think they've won, but what they don't know is that they are making the country poorer because they're eating into the intangible wealth. And this is the way Lee Kuan Yew made Singapore what it is today. Good judicial system, effective government, effective police and home security, and property rights. Next slide.
So basically, you wouldn't rate Ghana at all on any of these points.
Oh, no. We score 0. We score 0. And so there, you see, anyway, next slide. Oh, there's this. Okay. So this is what he did. Keys to LKY success. Judicial system, effective government, effective police and home security, property right, plus a near perfect education system. Plus a near perfect education system. So he created a country based on rule and law, a rule of law, and also a citizenry which is fully educated. I think the last international student assessment done, I think Singapore was number 3 in the whole world. Australia was number 12. You know, I think Singapore was number 3, the whole world. And these are the keys. Now, if you want to build a first world from a third, the roadmap is there. This is what it is.
Now,
Go ahead.
What would ARM do differently on each of these points in a brief summary?
Judicial independence. So we are going to have a system where there will be no conflict of interest. The president will not appoint the judges.
Mm-hmm. How will they be appointed?
Okay, so if there is a vacancy in the Supreme Court, the Judicial Service Commission will advertise it at 2 levels. Essential criteria, desirable criteria. And after they've done that, they will interview and shortlist 2 people, and these 2 people will now come and face the Council of State. The Council of State. Okay. And the Council of State will decide which of them fills the position.
Okay.
So once that is sorted, and the judiciary knows that they don't have to depend on the president, we're on the right path. So that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be done.
How about effective government? That's a broad topic.
Yeah, it's a broad topic.
In a nutshell, how would that pan out under an ARM government?
Now, you can talk about parliament. Parliament is going to be proportionally based. Now, the way we choose parliamentarians now is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to have a different new system that the parliamentarians will be directly accountable to the regions they represent. I'm not going to delve into the depths of that because of plagiarism in Ghana. But it will come in my next book, the second edition of Apromocracy. But I can tell you that it will be a different ball game.
Okay.
Parliament, for the first time, will be independent. And it's going to be based on meritocracy, an independent parliament.
Okay.
Again, but I'm not going to go into the procedure now because Ghanaians are super plagiarists.
Okay. How about point number 3? Police and home security.
Yeah, police and home security. It flows from the same thing. The IGP and the top command, police top command, will not be appointed by the president. You'll not be appointed by the president. They'll go through the procedure, and the final word will be with the Council of State.
Okay.
You see, the problem you're having now is the fact that everybody is there because of the president.
Yeah.
So nobody can do anything against the wish of the president. You have the Emily Short Commission. After the West I also work on by-election. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. The security, electoral security breach was glaring for everybody to see. Nothing has happened. You're going to have a different system, completely different system. And then you have to understand also that law and order, okay, it's not going to be directly under the national government. Law and order is going
central.
to be, law and order is going to, yes, central government. Law and order is going to be under state government. Okay, so the president is not going to sit in Accra and decide who is the state commissioner of police for Ashanti region. No.
So it's decentralized.
Completely decentralized.
So I'm hearing you on the first 1.123, which is judicial system, effective government, and effective police and home. The reasons we have these challenges is because of the president's appointment of the leadership. Part of the reason, at least, is because of the president's appointment.
Yeah, major part of the reason is because of the constitutional arrangement, which gives the president power over all these institutions.
How about point number 4, property rights?
Again, you know what happens with Ghana in terms of properties, because the laws don't work. Actually, we have been giving those in charge, or those, there's no law about sale of land or things, but that's what they like. Because in the first place, I don't think the state has got a complete inventory of all lands and the owners of the land. They don't have any system in place that will say that Shika is the rightful owner of this land, or a cousin is the rightful owner of this land. Everyone in the family believes he has right to the land. So when person A sells to you, person B goes to somebody else. Now, all these things will have to change. All these will have to change. But as you know, we cannot do all in this. But we cannot do all in this interview. What we can do is that this is what you are going to do. This is the reason why we are poor. This is the reason why this thing is going on. And you have to diagnose the problem and then bring the management. So this is just to give people an idea how Lee Kuan Yew was moved from a third world to a first world between 1965 and 2000.
Okay. How about the last point on education, near perfect education?
Yes.
How will ARM do that? Just briefly.
Briefly, we are going to, first of all, curriculum. Okay. It will be a general curriculum, technical curriculum, vocational curriculum, and once you have the correct curriculum, you know that you have the work done. The next one is funding. Of all the things that Nkrumah did, as far as I'm concerned, the most important one was the experimental school started in 1952. Unfortunately, you couldn't roll it out for 14 years because all the money went into boarding education. And with time, the public school completely degenerated because there was no funding. Now, the Nakwadu has come. Instead of putting money where it should go to roll out the experimental school system and really upgrade the public primary system, he has again decided to go and put the same money into the same boarding school system as free SHS. Okay, so
with no reform.
It's not reform. Yeah, complete reform. So that right now we have about 5 different public schools. Early local authority, mission schools, experimental schools, schools for the army, and universities, primary schools, and stuff like that. These are 5 categories of state schools. They are all funded differently. The army school and the university primary schools, they operate fairly much like private schools, so no problem. Experimental schools are just a little behind them. The mission schools and the early schools are the poorly funded, poorly performing public schools. So the key is redirection of where the need is most. Like Jesus Christ said, or who said that? Yes, the physician goes to the one who is sick, not to the one who is not sick. And the sick part of our system is not SHS, it's public primary education. And we have to roll out the experimental school system probably in 3 years. We've got to build the whole public primary school system at the level of the experimental system. And that's where the focus will be. That's where the money will go.
Okay, thank you. So
what's the next slide? Oh, okay. Obviously, if you can create intangible wealth, then of course you can create tangible poverty. And this is not a joke. Intangible wealth is based on rule of law.
So the word intangible is that it cannot be easily touched,
seen, yes,
or perceived or seen, but it's there. It's underpinning everything.
Yes, correct. But tangible poverty is what everybody can see.
That's right. That was what was happening in Guinea.
Yes, everybody can see that.
Everywhere else.
And because the rule of law is at the center of intangible wealth, anybody who attacks rule of law creates tangible poverty. One, these are problems throughout our history. You always start from the top, from the Messiah, Nkrumah. He literally owned the Supreme Court. He had the power to sack the Chief Justice when he didn't get the judgment he wanted. He thought he had power, but it was a creator of poverty. Because once you attack the judiciary, you are depriving the people of their intangible wealth. You are creating poverty. Mm-hmm. The next guy was Buzia. He also defied the Supreme Court. When he lost the case against Salah of GNTC, and the Supreme Court ruled against him, He stood up plainly to the whole and said, no court can tell him what to do. No court. He defied the Supreme Court and became a creator of poverty. The next one is Judicial Rawlings. He didn't actually attack the Supreme Court directly, but he intimidated them because when you live in a system and somebody claims he staged a revolution, and all you realize is that some of your colleagues you are working with on the same court system have been abducted and killed, you become afraid. You become afraid. So he actually intimidated the judiciary. When it comes to Kufuor, what did he do? He lost just one case, and he decided to pack the court to get the outcome he wanted. He undermined the Supreme Court. He undermined judiciary. And what did John Mahama also do? 3 jokers insulted the Supreme Court, threatening to rape the Chief Justice. They were properly tried in jail, and General decided to release them, pardon them. So who respects such a system? Who respects such a system? And the seat person, Nana Akufo-Addo. I think of this group, he's the only lawyer who's supposed to know better. But what has he done? He added, when he came, there were 11 Supreme Court judges. He alone added 7 to make it 18 so that I could get a unanimous Supreme Court. No, when they are doing all these things, what they don't understand is that once you undermine rule of law, you are creating a poorer state. Plus,
can you elaborate on that linkage between this and the poverty? Because in the case of Nana Addo, I would say that perhaps with the last election and all those cases that were brought against them, that we sort of thought the cases would go in a different direction. They didn't. And some people believe it's because of the Supreme Court being, having been weakened the way it was. But in the case of Mahama, Kufuor, Rawlings, and the rest, maybe what they did, the tampering had some slight impact. But I want to understand better the linkage with poverty that this tampering of the Supreme Court brings about.
Yes, because intangible wealth is based on rule of law.
Okay.
80% of a nation's wealth is based on intangible wealth. And intangible wealth is based on rule of law. So when you undermine the rule of law, you are undermining intangible wealth. That's how Singapore grew from a third world to the first world. Rule of law. You see, we don't understand, and that's why it's called intangible, because it's not easily visible.
Can I submit an idea from my own personal studies in international business,
Yes, go ahead.
Is that the whole notion of rule of law is one of the fundamentals that attracts, for instance, capital, because capital, as some have said, is a coward. It doesn't go where the fundamentals are not correct. So if rule of law is one of the tangible things that attracts capital, or that creates an enabling, attractive environment for international capital, for instance.
Yes.
So you need the private sector will feel more confident putting a big factory in Ghana as opposed to maybe Guinea as it is now, or put the big factory in Singapore as opposed to Ghana, because there is that rule of law, there's that transparency, there's those checks and balances. So I think for me, in my mind, and from hearing what you're saying, it sounds like that is where one of the places or the main places where the linkages are with
Yes.
poverty.
With poverty, once you undermine the rule of law, capital inflow will reduce. Well, capital will not go to where it feels threatened.
That's right.
Okay. Capital will go to only places that it feels safe. And that's the reason why rule of law is very important. So anybody who undermines rule of law, undermines capital inflow, undermines creation of wealth, and entrenches poverty.
Your hands are blocking your face.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You see, wherever people or wherever there's no rule of law, you're not going to invest in the people. That's one thing Mandela tried very hard when he came to power, because there was this fear of nationalization of mines and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah, he realized that if the government goes that direction, massive capital flight and the country will collapse. So he fought against that within the ANC tripartite thing between the COSATU and the ANC Communist Party. He fought hard and was able to take that threat away, and that's what has kept the country floating. The moment people don't feel their capital is secure, they'll be out. And one of the number one thing is an arbitrary system, where a president can do whatever he likes with the judiciary and can do whatever he likes with the state. So rule of law underlies everything in development. And that's what we don't have. No rule of law. Absolutely no rule of law.
So rule of law does not just apply to the Supreme Court. It applies to all sectors of government.
Yes.
The whole public sector, the whole policy environment, everything.
Judiciary, effective government, effective security, all these things, and property right.
That's right.
All these things are there as creators of intangible wealth. Now, we make noise. We make noise about natural resources. Like they're talking about natural resources in Guinea. Guinea has about 1/3 of all the bauxite in the world. 1/3.
Wow.
Of all the bauxite. Because of this coup, the price of aluminum rose on the global stock exchange by more than 100%.
Amazing.
Yes, but because there is no rule of law,
No, I'm saying that if I had known about it before, I would have bought stocks in bauxite.
Yes. The price of aluminum has almost doubled. It's never happened like that since World War I. Because Guinea has 1/3 of all the bauxite in the world. Look at them. Look at them. Because there's no rule of law, no property rights. People do what they like.
But go back, as you were saying this, I realized one thing. Leadership, because Lee Kuan Yew was an exceptional leader.
Yes.
Because in the case of Guinea, the guy who was there, even though he came as somebody who was coming to do the right thing, ended up going the other way, the very way that he claimed to be fighting against. So leadership is also key, don't you agree?
It's part of effective government.
Okay.
Effective government, because at the end of the day, that's why it's called the executive arm of government. It executes. That's the government that executes. So if that is faulty, everything will be faulty.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're on your 7th point.
Yeah, I say
about how our leaders did the tangible poverty?
Because of their actions or inactions over the years, they have depleted our intangible wealth stock. So, to go back and start building, you must know the root causes. You must know that a good judiciary pays, an effective government pays, good home security is important, and property rights cannot be subsidized with anything. We have to have this clearly, but unfortunately, nobody has campaigned in Ghana on these principles because they don't know. Nobody. They believe that the solution to Ghana's problem is one district, one factory. No. The solution to government problem is this. Because if these things are in place, even one factory, one district, one factory becomes more effective. Now, above all these, the one thing we are lacking most, or what we have now, is an anemic and kwashiorkor education system. It's terrible. When I look at the global picture, what my children were taught here and what my nephews are being taught in Ghana, and I say, how can these two compete? How can they compete in the same world?
Yeah. There's no level playing ground.
And until we get away from this anemic and kwashiorkor education system, we are not going anywhere too soon. A good education system that covers everybody is 28.8% of the country's total wealth. If you add all the natural resources we have, all the value we can ever build, you only come to 20%. So good education is more than natural resources. Better than natural resources and manufactured wealth combined.
Yeah. Okay, let me take this off. And I have a question for you regarding, I have a question for you about, because I see you as the one of the very first crusaders of changing Ghana's constitution to fix things. How does changing the constitution contribute towards moving us to a first world from a third world, leapfrogging us? Oh, I have some questions here.
Yeah. Your name
this
is a prophet.
Ebenezer Firstqual.
Yeah.
So let me read his question. How can I come from the third world and be called first by name? Okay, so his name is Firstqual. Okay.
What did our Firstqual?
Okay, so what did our Otublohum ancestors foresee? Oh yeah, Dr. Niamu, you and ARM, bring it to pass in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Thank you, Ebenezer, for your comment.
Yeah. So your comment actually is a prophecy, and your name is a prophet. We are going to get there. The problem is that if you cannot diagnose, you cannot treat. If you cannot diagnose, you see, in the First Republic, like your 5-year development plan is about, at the same time when they do a 5-year development plan, the president was going steadily and dismantling the state and making himself state, dismantling rule of law and making himself the law. In the process, we drop all our goodwill. I read a letter written to him. My CLR James is #1 mentor, the person who mentored him in America.
You're talking about our first president, right?
Yes, Nkrumah, when he starts the Akukosa.
Okay.
In December 1963. C.R.I. Jameson, he said, look, you cannot sack your Chief Justice. You just cannot do that. If you sack him, then you sack all of us. Go back, not only to reinstate him, but to apologize to him publicly. This can never happen. Well, at that time, he was an advisor to Nkrumah, and he understood what it meant to interfere with justice. Obviously, Nkrumah did not do that. And he sacked Akukosa. He got new Chief Justice who ruled in his favor and put his own top lieutenants, Adamafio, Akwaje, who brought him to Ghana, and Kofi Krab. He put them in jail. After he was overthrown, before they realized that Ofobwani and the opposition Ezra used Yamiogo to try and catch him and kill him. It's like, yes. Adamafio didn't know anything about it. Akwaje didn't know anything about it. Kofi Krab didn't know anything about it. They say Yamiogo. They say Yamiogo. They say, oh, this guy, tell him that you agree to the union between Ghana and Burkina, we bring the money to you. Then, he did it. He was a money launderer to your first president. He put money in suitcase and took it to border and give the money to Yamiogo. Yamiogo got the money, said, bye-bye, Tofi.
At that time, there was no law against doing that.
There's always law against money laundering. If there is no law, your moral, your conscience should tell you that should never happen.
Okay, so have you addressed my... Go ahead.
What's your question?
My question was about the changing of the constitution and how that will help us in this movement from first world to third world.
Yeah, the constitution defines the state and all the functions of the state. So, if you have a constitution that takes the power out of the president to a body that appoints all important state leaders of all important state institutions, you're on your way to recovery. And that's the most important. People don't understand. People, no, a constitution defines the state, what the state should look like. So if the constitution is oblique, the state will look oblique. You want a constitution that will make sure that when somebody is appointed to a Supreme Court, his allegiance and his loyalty is to the state, through the State Council of State, through the Council of State, and not to the president.
Okay. So that's a big part. That would, and it seems like our people, because of the kind of constitution we have, nothing is sacred. Anything can be changed, and
Yes, too discretionary. I mean, tomorrow, Akufo-Addo can say that, oh, I want to make you senior minister. Come to Ghana. You can just say that tomorrow. He has the power to do that. Of course, if he doesn't, that he will know the answer you get from me. So he won't even try. But what I'm saying is that that's how it tastes like. I mean, we have a constitution where a president can actually appoint somebody who has not been elected to be Speaker of Parliament. Can you tell me one country in the world with that power? Not a single country. Every country in the world, the Speaker of Parliament is an elected member of Parliament, except in Ghana.
Exactly.
So he appoints all the members in his executive. He also wants to appoint the Speaker of Parliament and appoint all the judges in the Supreme Court. Is that a joke or what?
So what are your closing remarks on this particular subject for today?
The closing remarks is this. When I say seek ye first, the new constitution is because within that constitution, we'll put a framework of government in that constitution that will guarantee rule of law, that will guarantee good, appropriate education, and by so doing, increase our intangible world and move from the third world to the first world.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyamudaku, once more. Thank you all. Today, it seems like a slow day. I think we had a lot of funerals in town, so we have a lower viewership, but I'm sure that those who would tune in later on can very much benefit from the wisdom that you've shared with us. Thank you very much. And to all the subscribers of this ARM channel, thank you. Please be reminded that we do come on every Saturday at 11 o'clock Ghana time, 12 o'clock UK time, 9 o'clock Australia time. So Dr. Nyamudaku is actually up at night doing this program. And we thank you so much for tuning in. Ebenezer, your last question was not relevant, so I wouldn't put it up here. But thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Bye.